Life. It's exciting because it's full of exciting moments, like sweeping dirt and overly animated conversations about the weather, and subtle conversations about the weather. But sometimes it's not so exciting. Sometimes it can get confusing. And sometimes it might feel like you're the only one who doesn't get it. Like this guy. But don't worry. No one gets it. It's a complex story a lot of us are trying to figure out. And one thing amazing about this complex story is all the mods. They completely change the way we live, and sometimes we take them for granted. Like the electricity mod pack, putting power in the palm of our hands. The combustion engine mod pack, helping us carry those heavy loads. And the liking and subscribing mod pack, which turns me into a happy boy. But despite all the added benefit that comes with these mods, it can be enthralling to watch someone break it down and make life simple again. There is a beauty in that simplicity. And then there's Minecraft, a game designed by a guy named Notch, which tuned into that beautiful simplicity. When you get hungry, you eat. And when it gets dark, you make a shelter and put up some lights. And when something gives you the creeps, shoot it in the face. And just like life, if you slap a llama, it'll spit on you. And also just like life, there's no shortage of people trying to make Minecraft better in their own way. I'm talking about mods, because there's a lot of them. But sometimes, just like with life, you gotta take a step back and have a nice vanilla experience. Now, I've already done this in single player, but Minecraft, like life, is designed to be a multiplayer experience. So I went and joined an anarchy server. A wise man once told me they're full of good-hearted, wholesome fun. And that fun started immediately. I was fighting for my survival, scrounging for the basic necessities, and running as far away as I could from spawn and any of its griefers. And I spent my first night in a tiny hole, because that's just what you do when you're close to spawn. You lay low, contemplate life. And eventually, I contemplated myself into a nice set of iron gear and a slightly safe underground base with a super secret entrance hidden behind 2 blocks of diorite. Because I figured no base hunter would ever think to look behind the diorite. And you know what? I would have stayed in that diorite hidey hole forever. But it was still within 10,000 blocks of spawn. So I figured it was time to move on. And I knew I had to get far. So I was thinking somewhere around 30,000 blocks this time. That would give me the buffer I needed. And so I traveled. And even took to the Nether to cover ground faster. Until finally, I found a little dripstone cave to call home. As far as I was concerned, it was perfect. And I had some big plans for this cave. And when I say big, I don't just mean an underground cow paradise. Or even a super amazing spider XP farm. Or even some deep and secret place where villagers could make sweet hearts together. Even though these ones had no hearts. A little bread might get them smooching. But alas, the fun had to end, as I began my perilous journey to the stronghold, to get to the end, where there is no fun. And after locating the stronghold, I loaded up those googly eyes. They made that familiar glistening portal, but I didn't know what to expect from the other side on a multiplayer server. Maybe a pair of wings, but also potentially my ruin. And at first it looked alright. until I realized I'd completely forgotten my advancements were broadcast to the whole server, and now everyone knew I was here. I could have turned back, but I'd lose all my progress and have nothing to show for it. And it took me hours to get here. I just needed to find the portal to the end. And despite all the lava casting, I eventually found it. Only I forgot to bring any ender pearls. But not a problem, there were plenty of endermen all over the place. Actually, one small problem. I heard a griefer's fireworks. Someone was here. I tried to stay quiet. My gear was all right, but nothing compared to a griefer who'd been on this server for months. I thought for sure we'd soon be fighting. But instead he introduced himself. And we'll just call him E. He seemed friendly enough and even gave me a few ender pearls to help me into the portal. This kindness he showed flew right in the face of the reputation of all these anarchy servers. He even wished me luck in my search for wings. That E sure seemed like a real gem at the time. Anyway, I didn't think much of it, because I had a lot of ground to cover. A lot of bridging. And when I say a lot of bridging, I mean a whole lot of bridging. Because it would seem that anything remotely close to 0-0 in this end had been picked completely clean. I'm not joking when I say I think it was 10 hours of searching. Every time I thought I'd found something, someone had been there and looted it before me. Sometimes they'd leave cruel jokes behind. Cruel jokes and a heap of scraps. I figured I'd leave my scraps in there too. But finally, after what felt like an eternity of searching the end, I found a city looking awfully unsullied. It was a big one too. I could just taste the shulker boxes. So I fought my way in and collected every single shulker I came across. And I came across quite a few. But none of them were going to get in my way. Not even these last two trying to stop me from getting on that ship. I re-upped my potion of slow falling as they hit me with their Willy Wonka candies. And then as I took down the last one, I realized I'd made a miscalculation, and I was going to die. If it wasn't for my quick thinking, that is. My heart was still pounding though. A death at this point, with all these hours in and all my best gear, would absolutely crush me. So I got back to business. No more mistakes. I crossed that bridge, broke down that wall, and slew the last shulker guardian of my sought treasure. Those wings were finally mine. The whole world and its skies were now open to me. There was just one last thing left to do. I'd have to get back to the overworld. I forgot to bring any fireworks though, so this elytra would be pretty useless for now. So it was time to leave the old-fashioned way, on foot. But on my way out, I figured I'd get every last shulker from this city before I left. And my Power 5 Infinity Bow made that task feel almost effortless. I loved that bow. It took a really long time to enchant it to that level. But after seeing all those 27 shulker shells, it felt worth it. I found myself ruminating over all the things I'd be putting in those shulker boxes. All the possibilities. And even after finding a portal back to the overworld, the ruminations continued as I found another unsullied end city. And I probably would have ended up looting it too, but I had no more potions of slow falling. So, it was time to go back. It was probably for the best anyways. After all, I had all my best gear, tools, and weapons in my current inventory. There was no need to risk losing them at this point. Wait, that looks like a wither. E. He must have spawned it here shortly after helping me into the end. And to be sure I didn't make it out, he spawned in 2. Nay, 3 withers. The explosions rattled everything around me. I had nowhere to go. This end would be my end. My bow, my elytra, my fully ruminated shulkers. Gone. With all my years, I don't think anyone will ever understand losing fully ruminated shulkers. I was left a frail shell, a simple, naked diamond man, dramatically standing in a field, then in front of some sugarcane, ruminating on, now, a rage quit. But I wondered here if I could find myself a life lesson in this Minecraft game. Or would I let the griefers grief me? No. This diamond body may be naked, but it was formed by coal that withstood the pressure. Don't give up under the pressure. You get back up and you be like this guy. And so I did. I got back on my grind for gear. And got them villagers smooching too. And when I was ready to go back to the end, I brought an ender chest, as I should have done the first time. It just makes sense to hide all your precious stuff in it before going and leaping into the unknown. And into the unknown I leapt once again. But it looked like this time someone had cleared all the withers. And I was ready for my long walk back to that end city I had spotted just before leaving. Sure, it would take hours, but Minecraft is a lot like life in that way. If you're willing to put in the hours and fight through the battles, even when you're not at 100%, just hold on to the right attitude, and you'll get there. You'll find your wings. And then the sky's the limit. I just had to not lose them this time. They went straight to the E-chest. And I went, anticipating the worst, back through that portal. Only it went all right. I had let past experience condition my thoughts into anticipating a trio of withers taking a giant dump on me. When, in reality, it was just a nice cosmic chill space. So I took a final look around as I indulged in the success of my mission. Then I went home. It felt good to be back. So good that I felt the need to do a couple happy sprints. And I may or may not have even gotten a little hoppy. Then I found myself wondering what I should do next. Maybe I'd find a far-off beach to do some push-ups. Or maybe a remote cabin where I'd play around with note blocks. It was all possible at this point. I did like this place, but it was still too close to spawn. I wanted to push it to 200,000 blocks this time. So it was time for another adventure to cover a whole lot of ground. But then before I knew it, I got there. It was a good spot. And because I was far out, I felt audacious enough to build above ground this time. Or at least partly, because the basement of this place is where the action happens. So many villagers to exploit and take advantage of. A lot of very good enchantments from these librarians. And I even made the place look spiffy. Why? Well, I figured after watching this, some of you might want to come and find me. So I'll be waiting for you. Server details in the description below. And when you find me, feel free to not blow it to pieces, but instead build a little something of your own right beside. We could be neighbors, until inevitably someone does come along and destroy us all together. But until then, let's not have a single thing be destroyed. Except that. That'll grow back.